it was a shame to just, to keep them out for that reason.
There was something on 20 meters yesterday, somebody was talking about. He had an advance call. And they said, are you going to go up? He says, no, I know there's no more code, but I hit my plateau, I get my advance, I'm a happy camper, I have as much of the spectrum as I want, and I'm not going to go up. I mean, and it was just two guys, talking about it. And there again, it's the same thing. They got the 13 words a minute, and that was, that's as far as they wanted to go. And as much as you were for it, let's do away with code. I was against it. And you're on it all the time, I'm not.
Right. Well, I always said when people, with the people that seem to protest the whole idea of dropping the Morse code requirement, oftentimes those were people that hadn't used Morse code themselves in 25 years. It's just that, well, I had to do that type of attitude.
Yeah.
And so with me, I don't think, I wouldn't put any credibility behind them having that as their argument. If you were someone that operated Morse code all the time, then you had a legitimate reason to say that. But some of the people would say, well, just because I passed it.
Well, no, I mean, I still operate.
I know that, but I'm saying a lot of people were that way.
I still think they should have kept at least 5 words a minute.
Interesting, kind of like related question. There's a YL reflector on email, and people post things off and on here and there. Gal from Oklahoma said she was riding in a car with a friend, and her friend said something about, don't you have a cell phone? And she said, no, I have my ham radio. And her friend said, well, if ham radio is so good, why isn't everybody an amateur? Why do we all have cell phones? So she posed the question for responses. And this morning there was a response from a fellow who said, amateur radio is the only hobby that requires a federal license, requires a test to be a part of. Amateurs are who they are because they not only want a hobby, they want a challenge. And amateur radio provides a challenge. You can't just...
Can't just say, I want one of them and get it.
Yeah. Well, like the old 11-meter days.
Yeah. Right. So I think that for many people, the CW offers another level of challenge. Or it may be SSTV that offers you your interest, or it may be...
That's slow scan television.
Right. Or it may be working around the world, or seeing if you can work somebody in every country, or working 100 YLs. There are so many different challenges available in amateur radio that you can't just do one thing. There are so many different things that you can be a part of. You can be a part of a small group that meets regularly in somebody's house once a month, like Cape Ray Radio Club, or you can be part of an international organization like Young Ladies Radio League that has members from around the world and gets together in person rarely. You can be a contest.
Or you could be a part of, if I could give a local plug here, you could be a part of the Braintree Radio Club, where we give these volunteer exams every other month here in Braintree. Or you could be a part of the K1USN Radio Club. And the K1USN Radio Club, we meet over at the Watson Library. And we're always looking for more people to come over and participate. And part of what we do, a large part of our operation there, is preserving the history of historic naval radio operations, and we have a replica station there and everything else that we're well on our way to have that on the air. So there's so many different areas.
History, technology, interpersonal, person to person. If you don't like to actually talk, you can do CW.
That's right.
A lot of women. There are more women CW operators than people realize because it's anonymous.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You can make up a name that, nobody says that your name on the air has to be your real name. You can.
No.
I often wish I'd given myself a different one because Anne does not transmit well. It's very hard to get across. I should have given myself a nickname when I started. It's too late now.
You can always go into QRZ and change it.
That's too late now. It's like my call sign. I can't change it now.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm. That's who I am.
K1ANN.
Yeah, right.
No, I like what I have. I'm not changing it.
Well, my CW call when I was WB1A and B, put the A in the end, and then just run them together at the end. That's, it was. It just, and I never thought that I would louse up so often, but lately, there's always somebody listening to pick up on it. That's what gets me, There's always somebody listening. And I give my call, and once in a while I'll come out with the W, and some of you come out and say, what are you going to run, that old call by me again? You're running the right call. But there again, I think we're fortunate with the new QRZ and stuff like that. You can be working somebody here, have your computer on here, as soon as the call comes in, you just punch it in for the logging.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to be anonymous, Ann, when you're on the air now, because if somebody puts your call sign in, that's part of the whole thing about the, these aren't anonymous contacts that people, you have a call sign and it's listed.
I meant in terms of voice.
I know. Yeah.
I think for some women it was a safety that
True.
they aren't going to know right away that I'm.
But nowadays, when I talk with someone and I enter their call sign, it immediately goes and does a search, finds out, and Bill keeps talking about QRZ. Well, if you go to that website and type in any of the call signs, oftentimes there's a name and address, but oftentimes a little bio information and maybe a photograph and specific information.
And also, if you want to go on something, we're going to do a program sometime on the logging, the logic that we use, and it's. When I'm on Logic and I'm in one of the telnets, one of the packet radios, all of a sudden you'll have a hit come up, and it'll say on your computer screen such and such station calling CQ, and then a few minutes later you'll come up. You don't get it that often anymore, but you'll get it's a pirate. It's a non-licensed operator, and
it's amazing how people are able to pick up and then they
that's
spread the information around. Well, yesterday. I was on. I was watching the packet cluster, which is what Bill's talking about here. I was watching the packet cluster, and I saw a spot on 20 meters, and it said that there was a fellow that was bicycle mobile in England. And so all I did was, when you see these spots come up with this logging program that Bill was referring to here, you just take your mouse and you click on that little spot, and the next thing you know, I was over there listening to this guy. He was on his bicycle on the coast of England. He said how cold it was there because he was right on the water, and he was talking with people all over the place.
I've worked him several times.
He's
there all the time.
Great. And he was talking with a friend of mine, Bud, W3FF out in California, talking with him, and I've worked Bud pedestrian mobile up in the Sierra Madres before. So.
Okay, I see we're running out of time here. Ann, I'd really like to thank you for coming on, and maybe we'll either show up someday down the house when you get your new stepper trombone up there, 30, 40. Maybe you can come over to Watson and you can do a pile-up, and we'll film it and show our viewers you on the air and young ladies on there.
No, someday I will come over to the Watson.
Sounds like fun.
Good.
So,
all right.
So that's it for this one, folks. You can get more information you see on the screen there. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. If you have any comments, just send us the comments, and we'll be glad to answer it. So, as we always say in radio, how we always sign out, as we do on the radio, I should say, 7-3 for now.
And I'm going to say 7-3, but I bet Ann may say something else.
Well, I will say 33 to all the women who are listening, which is a YL to YL 7-3.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.